wait, I didn't mean to go live. Just kidding. Here we are. Welcome to After Action Report on the Call to Action podcast channel, your numbers recap show for all Schmoedown matches to keep you caught up on all the action. I'm your host, Megs, and we will be breaking down all the matches from this past week, including pay-per-view spoilers, with my co-host here, Nat. Nat, how is your weekend been, and how excited are you to talk about all these matches?
My weekend was great, and I am always excited to be on the show and talk about all things stats, all things numbers. It's great to be here with you, Megs. It's gonna be a good show.
Awesome. And thank you to everyone that is joining in live and as well as on the replay for audio, where all podcasts can be found, as well as on video. So please make sure that you're also hitting like, leave a comment, and click subscribe if you are new to this channel and haven't been watching for the past 22 episodes. But Nat, I think without further ado, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what are we going to talk about this week. From last week, we had a teams match between Press Room and the Outsiders, a singles match between Brother Lomas and Beth May, another singles match with Eric Zipper and Janet Paramo, and then our Throwdown pay-per-view event, which was Deception versus Lightning Time Exam. So very heavy into the teams division this week. So again, also, if you have not watched the pay-per-view match and don't want to be spoiled, this is your cue. We will be talking about them fourth down into the recap, so you'll have a chance to get out of here before that. But I think, Nat, without further ado, we go ahead and jump into first match of the week, where we saw Press Room versus the Outsiders, representing the Corky Mercs and the Den, respectively. Where going into this first round, we saw the Outsiders actually being up by 14-13, with Horowitz going perfect plus the bonus. And then Preston and Goddard both getting 7 points, and Perry Nemiroff coming out with only 4 points in this round. So between that, the Outsiders are still up by 1 going into the second round here, where we see the Outsiders go ahead and spin first, where they decide to take Tom Hanks on their first spin, where they go 8 out of 12, checking down to multiple choice 3 times and giving up 1 on multiple choice steal. Their decision to stay with Tom Hanks was a little bit debated between Goddard, Preston, and Kate. They ultimately did decide to stick with that, and again, still coming out with 8 out of 12 available points there. Press Room comes in and spins Spinner's Choice and decides to go with new releases, where they don't sweep the category, but they do end up with 11 out of 12 points, checking down to multiple choice only once without any steals. Nat, what did you think of this round overall?
I really like matches where both players of a team get a chance to shine. I think we saw that with the round 1, where Josh Horowitz did so good and Perry didn't do so hot. She got only 4 points, but I think round 2 is where she shined in the new releases category. I think new releases is a tough category for a lot of people, but Perry, given her profession, given what she talks about, I think this is a no-brainer for her to take. She has been pretty dominant in the new releases exhibition matches. So this comes as no surprise to me, and I really like to see how she helped contribute to this win.
Absolutely. And I think also just with both of them being in the movie space the way that they are as interviewers, I think this was a no-brainer for the two of them to take this category. Hence their name, Press Room. It kind of goes into saying that they are big in being upfront in the movie space with these new things that are coming out. So I think this was a big advantage for them and a smart move to go ahead and take it. And it definitely paid off, which with this, Press Room gains 4 points to where they are now up by 3, 25-22, going into the third and final round, where we have Goddard hitting a 1-pointer in Julia Roberts, which now gives them the tie. Preston misses a 3-pointer in Drew Barrymore, but they are able to hit a 5-pointer in Denzel Washington, which bounces it back over to Press Room, where Perry hits a 2-pointer in Tom Hanks, and Josh hits a 3-pointer in Comedies, which does give them the win for Press Room with a final score of 30-29, where Press Room answered 22 of 26 questions for 85% accuracy and scored 83% of 36 available points, where the Outsiders answered 21 of 25 questions for 84% accuracy and scored 73% of 40 available points. Overall, I'd say that this was a good matchup for both of these teams, pretty even as far as their accuracy was actually fairly similar, but with the Outsiders not able to pick up those points in the final round, it did not force Press Room to have to hit their 5-pointer in order to beat them there at the end. Now, do you have any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that the Outsiders are such an interesting team because both Paul Preston and Ben Goddard are so similar in terms of they just can't catch a break. And I feel like their record doesn't really reflect their skill set. I think they're both really good. I just think that they have a tendency to get really unlucky. And given that, I did think that Press Room were going to win. I think that Josh Horowitz has been so impressive. Ryan Christensen in chat says he's going to be a main player in the singles tournament, which I completely agree with. He's so good. And I do think that Perry probably needs to step her game up a little bit because there is a little bit of a skill discrepancy. But, I mean, Perry is no slouch. I think that she has that ability to really improve. And if she does, I think this team is going to be such a big threat to anyone they play.
Absolutely. And also, Ryan Christian, thank you so much for being active here in the live chat here, talking about Perry needing to improve her round one. She's had a little bit of struggle there in that first round. She recovers very well in subsequent rounds to be a high contributor and to get the higher accuracy later on. But we do see with the upper tier teams, we're wanting to see more of a 7 to 9 points in round one for each of the competitors. Missing one question in round one while your teammate goes perfect, hitting the bonus or not, you still can stay competitive with those top tier teams. But that is something that's going to be kind of in the back of our minds as we see the Press Room going up in the ranks as far as teams, especially if Shazam is still the reigning champions. Press Room is likely going to be the contender for the teams tournament later on this year. So it'll be interesting to see them then jump into some more upper echelon teams and see how they are able to measure up there. But overall, this was a good match. It was back and forth, Outsiders being up, Press Room able to take advantage and get an upper hand, and ultimately coming out with the win. So all in all, a really good match. Was super exciting to see. Next, we're going to move into our next one of the week, which was Brother Lomas against Beth the Maniac May. Two very big personalities inside of the league, with Beth May being very vocal and very upfront during the preseason, and Lomas coming in as kind of a mystery coming in. Nat, what were kind of your thoughts about these two with their first introduction to us?
Yeah, you said it best. I think these are like two opposite approaches of getting your name out there. Lomas was such an enigma that you didn't really know what to expect. He wasn't on any after shows or anything. He just kind of showed up and was this character, this amazing character that I really enjoy because he reminds me so much of. If you're a fan of the Far Cry games, he reminds me of Joseph Seed, which is like this religious zealot, and I think he plays that gimmick so well. Beth May is just delightful. I think that I always enjoy seeing her. I feel like you and I talked about this match before we went live and how it was kind of hard for you to like pick a winner from this bunch. I personally felt that Lomas was going to win just because I thought his first match was a little bit more impressive. He did miss all his round 3 questions in his first match against Frankie Alvarez, but before that he had a really good showing. So I was expecting him to perform better today because you never know what questions you're gonna get with round 3. It could be anything. So I was expecting him to win. But yeah, he definitely met my expectations.
Okay, well, speaking of that, let's see what he was able to do here, where coming out of round 1, we did see Lomas up by 3, 7-4, coming out of that first round. Beth May having a little bit of a rough round there coming out of round 1. Coming into round 2, Lomas decides to spin first. He takes Robert Redford on his first spin, or Robbie. And we see him sweep the round. The full 8 out of 8, not giving up any steals, not checking down at all. Coming down to Beth May's spin, she decides to take Thrillers on her first spin, where she misses the first 2 questions for 2 points, and one of those is picked up as a steal by Brother Lomas, but she hits the remaining 2 questions for the full 2 points to get 4 out of 8 total in this round, which gives Lomas a gain of an additional 6 points to now be up by 9, 17-8, going into the third and final round, where May does miss a 2-pointer in Matthew McConaughey, which mathematically gives Lomas the win via TKO with a final score of 17-8, where Brother Lomas answered 13 of 15 questions for 87% accuracy, scored 81% of 21 available points, and Beth May answered 6 of 13 questions for 47% accuracy and scored 42% of 19 available points. I mean, what else can I say? These FinStock Exchange rookies, it's another TKO on their record. I don't know what else to say about that.
I think it's really interesting that Brother Lomas has had 2 matches. He's 1-1, and he still has not answered a round 3 question correctly. That's pretty funny to me. But yeah, I mean, you said it best. I think these FinStock Exchange rookies, they're no joke. They're really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. And I really hope Beth May bounces back, because I love seeing her. She's such a positive energy in the league that I think we need that. So I hope she does better in her next match.
Absolutely. I think, some of these matchups can just be a rough day. You can just be out of it going into the match, and it's tough to rebound back from that. So it just seems like things just didn't fall her way this time. Thank you so much to Ben Rayner for the $5 super chat. If anybody else wants to donate, you can do it through the Streamlabs link, which I have pinned up to the top, or you can do it through super chat here. But Ben Rayner says, both great characters. Brother Lomas, I think, has it in him over time. Beth May just got a cruddy slice in the second round, which we want to see more from her. Sorry, I kind of butchered that reading there, but yeah, absolutely. She seemed to feel decently confident about Thrillers on that first spin, but with those broader categories, sometimes you just get hit with those 4 questions about 4 different movies that you are just not well prepared for. So it is something that you take a gamble on it, and sometimes it doesn't work out for you. All depends on what questions we've got coming down the pipeline for you. But let's go ahead and move into our next match of the week, which was another singles match between Eric, the Z-Man Zipper, and Jader, the Hurricane Paramo. Both these guys are big fans of the C2A channel. They have been on our shows multiple times. We love them here at the channel. Kind of a bittersweet thing for us to watch, because we love both these competitors so much. But going into the first round here, we see Zipper up by 2, 8-6, where Zipper got a perfect round but was unable to hit the bonus, so he maintains only a 2-point advantage going into the second round, where Zipper defers over to Paramo to spin first, who he spins away from romantic comedies and ends up taking courtroom dramas, where he ends up coming away with 7 out of 8 points, checking on the multiple choice once, but not giving up any steals. Zipper comes in and spins away from the 1990s and ends up taking action adventure on his spin, where he ends up with 4 out of 8, having to check on the multiple choice 3 times, misses one of those multiple choice questions, and but does not give it up as a steal. Jader Paramo is not able to capitalize on that. So we see Jader gain 3 additional points in this round, which has him now up by 1, 13-12, going into the third round. Nat, did you have anything else you wanted to mention about this second round?
I did. Going back to round 2, I think that so Jader's biggest weakness we've seen in the past has been round number 2. he has not done so well. I think that even though this wasn't his first choice courtroom dramas, I think this is definitely a big step of improvement for him. I think he did the best with it he had. He only had to check down a multiple choice once, and he answered all his questions correctly. So I think when Jader can answer his 2-point questions, all of them, I think that gives him a really good chance of winning the entire match. I think it's interesting that both him and Zipper didn't get their first choice. They both had to spin again, and it's just the luck of the wheel that Zipper got action adventure, which is a very tough category for anyone, and he didn't have the best round, but it's just a tough category, and there's not really not much you can do about that.
Absolutely. Action adventure being another one of those broad categories where you can hit 4 questions that are just right in your wheelhouse, or there could be 4 questions about movies that you're not really sure about or aren't as familiar with and asked in sort of a tricky way. But, great bringing up Promo typically having some struggles in round 1. I actually pulled his numbers from his rookie season compared to what we've seen with him now in the 2 matches that he's been in. His rookie season, he was looking at an average of 3 points in round 2 versus this season we have seen him with an average of 6 points. So obviously a huge improvement in his round 2 performances, which definitely was well on display here in this match. But again, we see him being up by a point coming into our final round here, where we see Zipper has to hit a 2-pointer in Disney, bounces it back over to Promo, who hits a 2-pointer in family films, back over to Zipper for a 2-pointer in musicals, back over to Jader for a 3-pointer in spy films, so 3-pointer in musicals, 3-pointer in spy films for Zipper and Jader respectively. And then Zipper gets a kind of obscure 1990s question, but more on that later. He is unable to hit it, which does give Jader the win with a final score of 18-17, where Eric Zipper answered 13 of 16 questions for 81% accuracy and scored 63% of 27 available points. And Jader Promer answered 12 of 15 questions for 80% accuracy and scored 78% of 23 available points. Also, big shout out, I loved the substitute teacher day nature of this match with Brad Gilmore and Andrew Guy both being on the desk for that. Both of these guys coming in with 2-2 records. This was a big match for both of them. Again, a nice comparable matchup I felt on paper with their records. They're both coming in, again, like I said, 2-2. A big opportunity for one of these guys to come up and have a winning record going into the tournament season for this year. But again, that 5-pointer in 1990s, it just struck me as odd that I had never heard of Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. teaming up in a movie. With how big into action movies I've been in over the years, amazing. I had never heard of that movie. Just very interesting, and good on the question writers for now highlighting that movie. I had to go up and look it up.
Yeah, I definitely never heard of that movie, but I haven't heard of a lot of movies, so it doesn't surprise me that I didn't know his 5-pointer. I mean, what can you say? We love Zipper here at Call Action. Yes. 2 of us especially love him a lot. It's just, I talked about this earlier with Ben Goddard and Paul Preston about how their record doesn't match their skill set. That is especially true when it comes to Zipper, especially now that he's under 500. I think that he's so good, but he's had probably the worst luck of anyone in the league. He just has such heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss, and you just hate to see it. But good on Jader. I think that Jader has definitely improved his round 2, which is his biggest weakness as we've seen in the past. And now that he's if he can consistently perform well in round 2, I think he has a really good chance of going on a really good run. So very impressive win by Jader, and I really hope that the Z-Man bounces back sooner than later.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we all love him here, so we're really excited to see that come in. So fair warning, we're going to be jumping into the pay-per-view, so fair warning on spoilers here. We are going to jump into the first match of this event, where we saw Deception versus Lightning Time. Coming into round 1 here, we saw that Lightning Time is up by 1, 14-13, where Ethan Erwin is the only one that is able to get a perfect round plus the bonus with 9 points. Collins comes away with 7 points, Marisol McKee with 6 points, and LaShannon Miller having able to only get 5 points in this round. A little surprising for her, but it happens.
Really tough round for everyone except for Ethan Erwin.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see how that plays into the rest of the match. Coming into round 2, we see that Lightning Time goes ahead and defers over to Deception, where they end up spinning opponent's choice and are given Star Trek. Even given that, they come away with 10 out of 12 points, checking out a multiple choice once. They do get that answer incorrect and give up a 1-point steal to Lightning Time, which now coming up to Lightning Time's spin, they decide to take Dance on their first spin, where they come in and sweep the category for the full 12 out of 12, which gives Lightning Time another gain of 3 points to now be up by 4, 27-23, coming into the third round, where we see that Adam Collins and Marisol are able to hit their 2- and 3-pointers respectively in Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio. That bounces it back over to Lightning Time for Ethan to hit a 2-pointer in Crime, back over to Deception for their 5-pointer in Denzel Washington, which they do hit, back over to Lightning Time where Liz hits her 3-pointer in Directors, and they both are able to hit their 5-pointer in the 1980s, which does give Lightning Time the win with a final score of 37-33. For Deception answered 21 of 25 questions for 84% accuracy and scored 83% of 40 available points, and Lightning Time answered 24 of 27 questions for 89% accuracy and scored 90% of 41 available points. Now, 37 might sound like a number that you're familiar with, and that is because that is the current, or was at this point, the current high score for a team in a regulation time third round match in teams, not counting having to go into overtime or anything of that nature. That record was originally set by Who's the Boss back in 2020, and it was also tied by Corruption earlier this year back in May. So we have got a record matching match here, but just kidding, we are going to see that record change with our next match, which is Rushmore versus Final Exam. Give me just 1 second, guys. I want to make sure that we don't have any donations over here before we get into this final match. Perfect. Don't see that.
They both broke it. Even the losing team broke the record.
I will just say 38 and 39 are the final scores here on this match, both of them beating the current record of 37. So totally crazy to see that all play out there. But let's see how this match totally broke out here. So coming into the third round here, we see that Final Exam ends up being up by 2, 18-16, where Oyama, Lon, and Roca all get perfect rounds plus the bonus point. JTE does miss one question, which brings his total for that round only being 7 points. Frozen 2, man. It bit him. I knew what he was doing, kind of waffling between the two. I understand that. But
I understood his mindset once he explained it.
He did, yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have Final Exam being up going into the second round, where Final Exam does defer over to Rushmore, and they take 2010s on their first spin, and it works out pretty well for them because they sweep the round for the full 12 out of 12. Final Exam comes in and they spin away from Action Adventure and they end up taking Robert Rodriguez, a newer director, on the wheel, where they come away with 11 out of 12, checking down the multiple choice once, but not giving up any steals, to where Rushmore gains 1 point during this round, but that still leaves Final Exam to be up by 1 point 29-28 going into the third and final round, which turned out that was all they needed because it is a back and forth. JTE hits a 2-pointer in Modern Classics. Oyama hits a 2-pointer in Julia Roberts. Roka hits a 3-pointer in Animated. Lon hits a 3-pointer in Tom Hanks. Rushmore is able to hit their 5-pointer in Remakes and Reboots. And Final Exam hits their 5-pointer in Martial Arts Movies, which does give Final Exam the win with a final score of, again, like I said, 39-38. Both of these matches breaking the third round record in regulation time, where Rushmore answered 25 of 26 questions for 96% accuracy and scored 93% of 38 available, 40 available points. Wow, cannot read here. 95% of 40 available points. Let me rephrase that. And then we have Final Exam answering 27 of 27 questions for 100% accuracy and scored 98% of 40 available points. Oh my goodness. So just as a side note, if Final Exam had not checked down, they would have ended up with the 100-100 stats breakdown for accuracy and potential points earned. But regardless of that, both of these teams were able to break the high score record for a third round match. As we said earlier, totally crazy to see the record matched and then broken all in one evening. Totally awesome to see. And not officially scheduled or confirmed, but essentially all signs and conversations now are leading us to believe that Final Exam and Lightning Time will now face each other in a number one contender qualifier match to face Danger Zone in a number one contender match, who will then face either Corruption or Shazam for the title shot before the Ultimate Teams tournament. Again, nothing is confirmed. That is kind of what the conversation seems to lead us to believe. Little clues here and there that we've picked up during matches. But oh my goodness, totally crazy, and just showing how incredibly tight and competitive the teams division is currently. Nat, what else you got on this match?
If you would have told me during the pay-per-view that two teams would break the record in one match, I would have had a hard time choosing. I would have probably said Deception versus Lightning Time, to be honest, which goes to show you like how stacked the team division is, especially at that top level. Frozen 2, of all movies, is the one movie that did him in, and that's remarkable to me. I didn't realize that they both broke the record when I was watching this match, but it makes sense. I'm very impressed by Lon. Lon has shown that he can be a little bit inconsistent, but when he's on, he's really, really on. And I think there's no better example than this match right here. Also, obviously, Paul Oyama is also always amazing. Yeah, this was a great match. What more can you say?
Absolutely. A great pay-per-view event to cap another amazing week here in the MTS. But that is going to be it for this week's episode. But we'll be right back here next Monday, 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. You can find all of our socials to follow along with all of us, as well as the channel in the description below. Nat, where else are we going to be able to see and hear you this week?
I'm never ready when you throw it to me to plug myself. Tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 Pacific, we have Twitch Tuesday where Dylan and I, maybe some other people from the crew, talk about whatever. Just show up in the chat, ask us a question, and we'll make an entire episode out of it. That's where I'm at. I think that's it. We have No Chill coming out this month, maybe, probably. I hope so. Keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. Hearing about some really cool ideas you guys have. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. And you better believe it, Ryan. Action Army for life. Thank you guys so much for joining us live here in the chat. Be sure to check out Call Live as well. So the best way to be notified of that is to hit the notification bell so that you'll be alerted when we go live here on YouTube. Make sure, again, you are hitting like, leave a comment, and click that subscribe button so that you can be kept all in the loop of everything that is going on here. But until next time, for Nat and the whole Call to Action team, I'm Megs, and this has been After Action Report, signing